And it's disappointing, in my opinion, when you look at the two proposals before us. And because I'm deeply disappointed in them, I'm going to vote against both of these proposals, the Menendez bill and the McConnell bill, although for very different reasons. Mr. President, the first vote, of course, will be later today on the Menendez bill. And I'm afraid this bill is just pure political demagoguery, attacking big oil because I suppose the author and some members think that's an easy target, and meanwhile doing nothing substantive about the real problem, providing no relief to Americans who are paying more and more at the pump. I'm completely open to doing away with all sorts of deductions and exemptions and the like in the tax code. But we should do that overall, across all industries, across all groups in America, as part of fundamental tax reform. We shouldn't just demagogue the issue and target one industry and a few companies. The President's own Deficit Commission suggested that brand of fundamental tax reform. I agree with that general approach. Unfortunately, so far, the President hasn't led on that issue. Perhaps because it would mean not just impacts on quote-unquote big oil, but maybe favored companies of his like GE might actually have to pay some taxes. Or maybe gold mining companies in the Majority Leader Reid's state of Nevada would also have to sacrifice very, very attractive special tax benefits. And I also have to say I'm deeply disappointed with the McConnell bill. It does some positive things at the margin in terms of opening up access, but meanwhile, the very first section of the bill, the very first substantive section, which is Section 2, actually increases the regulatory burden in the permitting process. Now, I can tell you, living in the Gulf, we've been trying to slog through that overly burdensome regulatory process to let energy companies get permits to begin with. That process is already too burdensome, too cumbersome, too long. It's virtually shut down the Gulf, produced less energy, and thrown a lot of Louisianians and Americans out of work. We need to streamline that process. We need to accelerate that process, not add any new burdens and any new hurdles in it. Secondly, Mr. President, while the McConnell bill opens up a little bit more access, it's very modest. It doesn't touch the Eastern Gulf. It hardly touches the Atlantic. It doesn't touch the Pacific coast. It does nothing onshore, including in our western shale areas where there are enormous oil resources trapped in that western shale which we can access because of new and safe technology. When you look at the two specific proposals, they are darn frustrating. The first, pure demagoguery. The second, moving in the wrong direction in terms of the permitting process and not being big and bold enough in terms of opening up access. The United States, Mr. President, is the single most energy-rich country in the world, bar none. Only Russia even comes close. No Middle Eastern country, Saudi Arabia, anyone else, comes close to our overall energy richness, our resources. We make it difficult to impossible to produce good, reliable American energy right here at home. And most recently, we've done that by virtually shutting down the only productive part of the United States in terms of energy, the western Gulf of Mexico.